Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizers of this event, which I think is fantastic. Very few places have this kind of thing. Greg, and whoever else, you're fantastic. Thank you. When I planned to read this, I did not foresee that explosions would be the theme of this week. This is titled Bubble Wrap, so very small explosions. You may need, if you didn't bring your own, you may need some. So if you want to take a sheet and pass it around, that's all right. You got the message, right? Okay, so bubble wrap. He says it's visceral. Jane places her phone on the coffee shop table and sips her latte. Popping bubble wrap produces immediate gratification, releases endorphins, crap like that. Does he go out and buy it, Andrea says? Everything I order online comes wrapped in it, even the shoes for some reason. Pop, pop, pop is the soundtrack of my fucking life. Yeah, get it going. Her phone vibrates against the tabletop like a drop of water in hot oil. She snatches it up. Even when I can't hear it, I hear it. That's Andrea's own phone announces an incoming call. She glances at the caller identification. It's Barnes. She shuts off the phone and stuffs it deep into her purse. Why does he do it? He says small, muffled explosions soothe the equivalent of his soul. And guess what? He's agnostic, Andrea says. How did you guess? I had no idea until he said, the equivalent of my soul. You've been together like 5, almost 6 years. That's a long time, Andrea says. Maybe too long, Jane says. Maybe you're right. But he's thought about it? The God thing? I guess. No, bubble wrap. What it means. Hell, he can't shut up about how it satisfies the reptile brain, doesn't it? In some bullshit metaphysical way. Says he's going to open a place where people can violate bubble wrap in all different sizes. He even bought an old machine press and put it in the basement because simultaneous explosions are exponentially primal. He really talks like that. He wants a bubble wrap pit to flail around in. Can you imagine the germs? It could be fun, Andrea says. Oh, please, not you too. He thinks it's deep, but when he comes up from the basement in the evening, trust me, it's not philosophy he's after. Hang on a second. Jane's thumbs swarm the phone, composing a text. At least you get great sex, Andrea says. What? The sex. You said he gets turned on. Yeah, so picture his hands on your body knowing he's thinking about bubble wrap. And tell me that you could get to a place where you can even fake an orgasm. It makes me feel like an inflatable sex doll. Her phone chimes. Hold on. She smears open the newly arrived text and laughs. You're right, Andrea says, gulping her latte. I couldn't fake it. So is that Barnes? No, it's Kevin from my office. He's funny, and yes, he totally wants me. I'm in need of social interaction that doesn't involve packaging products. So don't you dare judge. Have you ever tried it, Andrea says? Jane's thumbs freeze above the glass. Kevin? No, seen what pops with Barnes on a sheet of bubble wrap. You might, dig it? Dig it? What, are we from the 60s? I mean, when you're a kid, it might have some appeal, but so does hopscotch. Besides, Barnes is a junkie, and I'm not going to enable his addiction. What if this is like a gateway drug? She flicks open an incoming text. It's hard to tell where this could go, Andrea says. I know, right? When does it cross the line between nervous tick and a way of life? What explodes next? She peers at her phone and laughs. Kevin, you sick puppy. Good question, Andrea says. And I'd love to stay and talk, but I've got to meet somebody. She hauls her purse to her lap and extracts her phone, inadvertently drawing a tissue-sized sheet of small diameter bubble wrap. Halfway out, most of it cells popped. She stuffs it back inside, casting furtive glances across the table. Want to hear what Kevin says about Rachel? Jane says, I don't know Rachel. Sure you do. She's like our best friend on Facebook. Kevin's in lines anyway. Sweet, but such a bitch. You're not friends with Rachel? Not that I remember, Andrea says, standing up. But I think you're right. Time to cut Barnes loose. Burst his bubble. Yeah, Jane laughs, then sighs. It's just so visceral? Yeah. Jane gazes into her phone, clutched between both hands. as if in prayer. Put down your bubble wrap. Okay. Oh, sorry.
No, go.
Do I still have time?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We have a ton of time.
Okay. This one's called Typewriter for a Superior Alphabet. It is in the form of a letter. From Elias Morgenthau, President, Ellipsis Typewriters, 10 Foundry Way, to Dr. Patrick McKay, PhD, care of McKay Transformational Linguistics Institute, regarding the prototype. Dear Dr. McKay, I regret to inform you that we have misapprehended the difficulties in implementing the typewriter for your revolutionary new alphabet. You make a compelling argument that a representation of language drawing on all 5 senses will surely vanquish the paltry system of 26 letters, 9 numbers, and various punctuation marks found on the modern keyboard. I believe the proper fulfillment of your design will create a typographic piano capable of rendering obsolete the lexicographic kazoo dub word processing. But alas, the labyrinthine complexity of your system underlies both its strengths and its impossibilities. I am left devastated by the implications for your life's work and my own. Our firm has designed and manufactured typewriters for over 100 years, but I fear I am the last Morgenthau to serve as its custodian. My forebears built the first instrument capable of typing musical notation and devised an elegant system for producing more than 2,700 Mandarin characters. Reversing the declining fortunes of the printed word requires bold strokes and unstinting dedication, but I find myself stinted. Consider the implications for your use of feces. The vulgate term batshit crazy is indeed rendered multidimensional by the application of actual guano, but the materials constitute a miasmic stench even in their desiccated form. The addition of moisture for adherence to the page results in spatter that impinges upon neighboring characters and introduces unforeseen health hazards. Are you aware, for instance, that raccoon scat contains a parasitic agent that turns the human brain to the cranial equivalent of Swiss cheese? It might have been possible to work out the kinks if you could have made even one progress payment. Even without remuneration, I have kept my people working overtime, funding them from my own pocket to get the ball rolling. Perhaps the ball rolls even now, just as the earth turns without our perception of its movement. I assure you that our efforts have resulted in considerable progress. Metals, cobwebs, and blood present no challenge. The inclusion of radioactive elements introduced potential health hazards to technicians and testers before we acquired lead-lined suits. Gases remain problematic. I fully understand the desire to utilize illuminated neon letters, even if the method of applying the electrical charge to the stricken character awaits perfection. This proves especially difficult when adjacent characters are typed in flammable materials, but I take it on faith that specific nuances of expression will indeed require both argon and gasoline. We pursued the use of cloud, fog, and rainbow with considerable vigor, as their essential nature to poetry is obvious. But vapors and pure light dissipate like our time on Earth, refusing to leave their mark. My unimaginative progeny have applied financial, medical, and legal duress, and I must now cease and desist. As stipulated in the contract, we will hand over all works in progress, currently housed in the mothballed high school football stadium, rented when it became evident that our own premises were too constrained to house the device. The exchange of materials can proceed upon payment of the outstanding balance and your assumption of the facilities lease or transport of its contents. My accountant and eldest son informs me that the full amount is required as our establishment faces insolvency. Like art, grace, and tradition, I yield to the realities of progress. I wish you good speed with your pioneering endeavor. To represent continued hope, I have signed my name with blueberry, macerated cigarette butt, and a dollop of magnesium, although I'm not at all sure I have yet mastered the translation to your superior alphabet. Yours with warm regards and fondest regrets, Elias Morgenthau, President, Ellipsis Typewriters. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Thanks everybody for coming again and sticking around. Thanks to all of the readers. Let's give it up again. So the next reading is at Neptune, which is just down the street and over to the left. You'll see it on the Greenwood Ave. But that's not for another 25 minutes, so please get another round or refill your water and your tea or whatever. Thanks again to Ampersand.